I am highly excited to welcome you to Writing Tips. My name is Joseph Jacob. Today, we are going to focus on figures of speech. Figures of speech are special use of language which is quite different from the conventional or customary use of the language. The aim of using figures of speech is to achieve a specific effect or meanings. In this video, we are going to give attention to 10 types of figures of speech. We focus basically on those figures of speech that are frequently used. So today we are going to look at 10 of them and we arrange them in alphabetical order. Apostrophe is a figure of speech which addresses an absent object or person, living or dead, as if the object or the person is present. Pele, the soccer fraternity will never forget you. Death, where is your sting? Time, I wish you can wait for me. 2022, may we never have a year like you. Alarm clock, please don't fail me. 7, you are my lucky number. Heaven, help us. Euphemism is a figure of speech which helps us to express ideas that are always unpleasant or harsh. So euphemism makes those unpleasant or harsh expressions to sound pleasant and subtle. She is a woman of easy virtue, which means she is a harlot. Her brother is a gentleman of the highway. Her brother is a highway robber. The king kicked the bucket. The king died. It was her uncle that put her in the family way. Her uncle impregnated her. He passed away. He died. The company let him go. The company fired him. Sandra is under the weather. Sandra is sick. Anthony is creative with the truth. Anthony is a liar. He is economically disadvantaged, which means he is poor. Stanley is between jobs. Stanley is jobless. Hyperbole. Most people refer to it as hyperbole, but the correct pronunciation is hyperbole. It is also known as overstatement. The reason is because it exaggerates for the purpose of emphasis. It states things to look beyond normal. The aim is to emphasize what is being said. River Nile flowed from her eyes. I am so thirsty that I will take every drop of the ocean. Remove the rafter in your eyes first. Thanks a million. I waited like forever before he came. I walked a million miles to get here. There is enough food in the warmer to feed the entire village. It took forever to finish the assignment. He ran faster than light. The work is enormous. I can't finish it in 100 years. Irony is stating the opposite of what we actually have in mind. The way it is stated, the listener or the reader will eventually deduce that what we are actually saying is the opposite of what we have in mind. My club is set to win the league after they lost their 10th consecutive match. She was so beautiful that no one asked to dance with her. The food was so delicious that I ate only 3 spoons. The road is so near that we spent the whole day on our way. The man is so rich that he lives in a hut. The unsinkable Titanic sank on its first voyage. The manager is as kind-hearted as a wolf. The students got excellent grade for failing the examination. I and my siblings have a cordial relation like cats and dogs. My new environment is filled with visitations like a desert. Littles is the opposite of hyperbole. It is an understatement. Remember, we've said earlier that a hyperbole is an exaggeration. So littles is now the reverse of a hyperbole. It is an understatement. Their food is not bad. His wife is not that ugly. The distance is not far. The idea is indispensable. He said that money is not necessary. It is not cheap. It is not hard. It was not an awful experience. She is not unkind. Her singing is not bad. Metaphor is to transfer the quality of one thing directly to the other. Unlike simile, which we'll discuss later, metaphor goes directly, transferring the quality of one thing to another. Uche is a palm tree. Sandra is a gazelle. Luke is a fox. The woman is a peacock. Fred is a lion. Her eyes were diamonds. Eyes are the windows of the soul. You are such an angel. The world is a stage. Her words cut deeper than a knife. Oxymoron is a figure of speech whereby two opposite words are used side by side. Tasteless salt. The issue is now an open secret. He is a wise fool. There is a peaceful war between them. The two nations are friendly enemies. Deafening silence. Act naturally. Climb down. Constant variable. Friendly fire. These examples are opposite words placed side by side. For example, the first one, we talked about tasteless salt. When we talk about salt, we talk about taste. But now we are saying tasteless salt. You see, they are opposite words. In the second example, we said open secret. If something is open, normally it should no longer be a secret. But we are saying open and secret. We are placing both opposite words side by side. Example number 3 said wise fool. How can someone be wise and at the same time be a fool? Fourth example, peaceful war. We know that war is the opposite of peace. So how can we have a peaceful war? It's a typical example of oxymoron. Two nations are friendly enemies. How can friend and enemies be together? Friendly enemies. It's a typical example of oxymoron. Deafening silence. When a noise is deafening, we know it means it's too loud. And at the same time, we are saying silence. They are two opposite words. Another example is act naturally. When you are acting, you're expected to do something that is not natural. And now we are now saying act naturally. We are bringing the two opposing words together. Climb down. When someone is climbing, we know the person is ascending. But now, how can we now say climb down? We are bringing these two opposing words together. We also have constant variable. When we say something is constant, it means it is steady. When we say some other thing is variable, we mean the thing is changing. And when we now say constant variable side by side, they are two opposing words. So it's a typical example of oxymoron. We also have friendly fire. Normally, it's your enemies that should fire, not friends. So the word friendly fire is two opposing words. So we are looking at oxymoron. Paradox is a figure of speech that seems senseless or absurd from the surface. But when you give the expression a serious thought, you'll now see that it makes a lot of sense. The best way to learn a new language is to speak it. A language you are still learning, how can you then speak it? That's an example of paradox. But you notice that it has a meaning, because by mere learning a new language without actually speaking it, you will not learn it. So the best way to learn a new language is to speak it. It is very correct. A typical example of paradox. You need experience to get a job, but you need a job to get experience. Save money for spending it. Less is more. Do the things you think you cannot do. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. The beginning of the end. Earn money by spending it. The more you give, the more you get. The only constant is change. Personification is a figure of speech whereby a lifeless or an inanimate object is endowed with the qualities of a human being. The ocean clapped. The cold hands of death grabbed the old man. The full moon smiled at us. The trees waved. The fire ate and swallowed the dried grasses. The sun smiled down on us. The moon danced on the surface of the water. Simile is a comparison between two different objects that have a certain quality in common. It is that quality they have in common that gives us the basis for the comparison. And in simile, we often use these two words, as or like. Uche is as tall as a palm tree. Sandra runs as fast as a gazelle. Luke is as cunning as a fox. The woman is as proud as a peacock. Fred is as strong as a lion, as busy as a bee, as innocent as a lamb, as blind as a bat, as cold as ice. Charles swims like a fish. This is where the curtain falls on today's video. Our next video will focus on Concord. Don't miss it. Have a nice day.